On this episode of DIY Willy, we're gonna take a look at my broken lawnmower. So here we have a Yard Machines 6 horsepower with a Briggs & Stratton motor on it. It has seen better days. Sits outside, gets a lot of rust on it. Pull cord dry rotted and broke. This piece, I don't know what happened to that piece. That was years ago. You can see the rust. I started taking it apart just try to fix it. The brake control switch that shuts the motor off is non-functioning anymore. Just gonna remove it so you can see the rust and cancer. I'll clean some of this up if I can get it to go again. The bag needs a little attention. I can clean the bag. Of course, all this doesn't work. You know, it's really seen better days. It was a good lawnmower. It worked good for many years, but leaving it out in the weather, it really suffered. So let's take it apart, figure out what we're gonna do with it. So I went to Home Depot and I picked up a new pull string, or starter handle they call it, universal 88. Let's see, 88-inch, number 4 1/8 nylon wire or rope. This is a throttle cable that I'm thinking to try and use to control the carburetor. I do have a new carburetor, however it's a mini bike carburetor, and I think it'll work well on here. It'll bring new life to the engine. Definitely will work better than this one. This carburetor right here is toast already. I could take it apart and clean it out and it'd probably be fine, but I'd much rather have the mini bike carburetor here. It's a China brand Makuni with a filter. I think it'll look cool here. So we'll get to that in a bit. I just want to take this apart and see what it takes to get the new rope put back in, start taking these parts off of it that are no good anymore. Okay, let's break it apart. Okay, so now that we've got this wound up, got the screwdriver kind of holding it in its place where it needs to be to line up the holes. We've got our new string here, our new rope. It's always a good idea to make sure they're melted, and I like to put them kind of in a point. That way they go through the holes easier. We'll just kind of warm it up again. And then I brought a towel with me, a napkin. You could do it without a napkin, but it gets kind of hot. Now see, we had too much wind out here already. We'll try that again. Yeah. Just kind of bring it more to a point than a melted ball. We'll do both ends. That makes it easier to feed through the holes. You know? Kind of give it some shape. Again, man, this stuff is cooling down so fast out here. Oh, good enough. So then we can take our end, kind of wet it, stick it through the hole. Takes a minute, a little bit of, there we go. Feed it through the hole like this, get it through, stick it through both, kind of pull it through, make a good knot in it. You want a good tight knot, you don't want it coming out close to the end. Pull it, give it some good tugs, like that, make sure it's a good knot. And we can pull it in, tuck it back inside, like that, give it a nice little tug. Now when we pull the screwdriver back, we want to gently pull it, let it go back in. Like this. Nice and gently. Pull it back in to where there's no more spring on it. Kind of set the rope inside. Could use some lubrication. Looks pretty good. Not really worried about the excess because it does have to come all the way up there. Okay. So with that, we can set that down. Now for the other end, the handle. We've already kind of melted the end down to a nice point. This end turned out better than that end. We can stick it through the bottom hole, feed it through, bring it out just like we did before. Tie a nice good knot on it. Leave a little bit of extra, maybe an inch or so, half inch, 3/4, something like that, just to give it something to bite on. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it with pliers just to make sure it's a good tight knot, and then pull it back through. Voila, we're good. I could have actually cut it a little bit. It is a little bit long, and it'll come up here like this. We might cut it back a little bit, but we'll try it first. I can always cut it later. There we go. Yes. All right. Now I'll move on to the next part. Okay, so I've got it here again. I took it to the garage, took the air and blew it out the air, got some of the dust out. I'm gonna try to get some lubrication in here, make it work. I got some Blaster industrial strength silicone spray. I use this on my garage door. I use it on car parts. I use it anywhere I want some lubrication to kind of stay there. It's not really a penetrating fluid, but it does work well as a lubrication. Let that get in there and soak and lubricate these parts up really nice. Give it a couple of pulls. It seems to work better already. Nice. Just give it some good. It won't hurt a little bit on the silicone. Very good. Very, very, very good. I like that. Okay. So next we're going to look at taking the tank off and getting rid of the old system that stops the motor. It's got a brake on the flywheel and a switch for the ignition kill. So we're going to look at that right now, next. Okay, so we got all these parts here. I'm going to go ahead and take this off the carburetor. This is where the air cleaner goes. We don't need it on there right now. The screws in there are 8mm. And we'll just go inside and get this off. Again, it's just making more room. I want to be able to access the fuel hose inside because there's gas in here. I put it in not too long ago to try to start it. Oh, there's one more. There's 3 in there. One hiding right here on the top. There we go. This should come off. Unplug the little vent hose of the crankcase vent right here. I would try to keep the screws together. We'll put them inside right here and I'll set them off to the side. Okay, here now, this is where things are going to get interesting because there's gas in here. So if we take this, take it off, maybe we can stop the gas from coming. You know what? I bet if we put the mower on the back side, let's see if we can do that. That way the back side tilts down a little bit. Well, that's more level anyway. Let's see if we can get this off. Not spill that much gas. That didn't work out. Let's see, what can we do here? We need a bolt to put in there. Okay, now to get rid of this gas tank. This is really annoying that it has so much gas in it. We're going to take out these 3 8mm screws on top, and there's one hiding right there. I think it's a 10mm. But we'll get to these 3 on top. We can get this tank off of here. Keep the screws, always keep the screws together. I think the one on the bottom, like I said, is a 10mm. So we'll get it. It's right up under here. It's also got a spacer, so you got to keep track of the spacer. Okay, it's got a spacer and the bolt. Leaking gas. So we can take this out here now, put it off to the side. Now this is part of the cooling of the motor. As the fan pulls the air in, this kind of directs the air over the cylinders and helps to cool the motor as it's running. So I want to take that off, but I want to get rid of the oil dipstick. It's bolted to this here. want to get rid of the oil dipstick so that I can take that off, because underneath here is the brake and the parts that I'm looking for. Just keep that like that, just to keep the oil from getting dirt in it, although I'm going to change it eventually. We'll just put this screw back in. No sense losing it. Okay, now this is held on by 4 10mm screws again, or bolts. We'll get these on the front. So now we can take this off. This is pretty rusty, dirty, but it would clean up really nice. We could paint a nice color like red or blue, or you know, kind of make the mower stand out. Put it off to the side. So here we have coil, the flywheel, and the flywheel has magnets in it on both sides. As the engine turns around, the coil picks up off the magnets, sends a spark to the spark plug, fires the ignition, and the engine runs. This here is kind of broken, doesn't want to work, but let's see if I can get this apart. Anyway, we'll just try to pop it out. See if we can get it to cooperate here without dropping the mower on our feet. There we go. Okay, that cable is seized up inside against the jacket. I'm not going to use it. Getting rid of it. Kind of going old school, kind of go-kartish. Anyway, this here is the brake. So what it does serves two purposes. What it'll do is when this handle up here, when the handle up there is squeezed, it releases the brake, releases the switch. When you let go of the handle up there, it pulls this, applies spring tension and drag to the motor and stops the motor. This here is a switch that acts like a kill switch. It makes contact to this wire, sends a ground to here, grounding out the ignition system, no spark, no engine running. The engine comes to a stop with the brake, the blade stops. It's a safety feature. It doesn't work very well anymore, like I said, and I'm just gonna get rid of it. I hope I don't regret that later and wind up with missing toes or something, but I mean, it'll be fine. And I can always put it back if I have to. But I'd rather not have it. I'd rather go kind of old school, and it's easy. I could replace the cable and make it work again. But let's try to take it off. It looks like 2 8mm screws. I could actually leave it on. Think about it. It is a good safety feature. But for this time right now, let's just take it off. I might figure a way to buy a new cable and who knows, make it work again, put the spring back in it, and make the system work. It's also magnetic. I didn't realize that. Huh, I never knew that. It's magnetic. I'll put the screws back in because I'll probably wind up putting it back. I was just thinking about it. I'm not the only one that may use this mower, and well, if it has a problem, it flips over or something, and it won't turn off because it could be a liability. So I may buy the new cable and put that back in. We'll just run those screws back down. Yeah, that's good. We'll just leave them down there like that. So now, this is the ground wire I was saying. I'm going to actually put this on up on the top. I'll run some wire and run it up there. This will be like a kill switch that I'll have a button on. That will enable it. The button will come back down and connect here somewhere to the motor, causing the ground. So when I turn it off, I can just flip that switch and it'll ground out just like it would if it was factory. So I want to take off the governor arm. I've already loosened it up. The bolt, it's 10mm. Stick the screwdriver in here and kind of separate it like this, loosen it, and then pull it up. Let's see if it'll come off. In doing so, there we go. Ah! Butterfingers. In doing so, I can bring it around and I can take it off the linkage. So now I can bring it around like this. I'll bend this shield down a little bit and get it out. Oh, look at that. It broke. I really didn't want to break that yet. Oh well, it's dry rotted. That's okay. that just means we're gonna move a little faster. Now I have to put the other carburetor on because this one won't work that way now that the piece broke off. Okay, back to the drawing board. Let me think a little bit. I have to end this video here. I'm gonna have to order some new parts for the lawnmower since I broke the carburetor. I do have the new carburetor I plan on using, but I have to make a manifold for it. That'll be another video because these videos become just way too long. To keep this one somewhat short, like I said, I'm gonna end it here, and I'll come back when I have the parts ready to build the carburetor. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.